When I walked into my first ever networking room at 18 years old, my heart immediately started racing and I was absolutely terrified because everyone in that room looked the exact same. They were all dressed in a suit and tie, all of them had a drink in hand, and all of them looked like they wanted nothing to do with me. So I stood there paralyzed in that room for about 2 minutes before I decided to turn around, walk out, and drive home. And pretty much right then and there, I swore off networking. But that was definitely not for long because just a few months later, I walked back into a different room and this time it could not have been more different. But it was not because of the people in that room, it was because of my intention. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Successfully Balanced podcast. I'm your host Aria and today we're talking about networking, which is not a topic that I thought that I'd be chatting about, but I had a client and a girl who was in LV who suggested this exact topic. So if you're listening, I really hope that you find this topic helpful if that was you that requested it, and just know that I love you so much and you're awesome. And to anyone else who is new to this podcast, hello and welcome. This podcast is for the ambitious girlies who know that they want to go above and beyond and really achieve some incredible things in their life, but perhaps just feel like they don't want to burn themselves out, they're feeling self-doubt, feeling lack of confidence, and really just want that kick to be able to do it and become successful in a way that is balanced. So if that is you, I really hope you enjoy this podcast, and if you can give it a rating if you're listening on Spotify, or if you're watching on YouTube, if you can give it a like and subscribe, because we have just hit 1,000 subscribers, which I am so blown away by. Thank you so much to all of you guys listening for your support. It really means so much to me, and I'm so grateful for every single one of you here. So thank you so much. But as I always do before we get into the episode, is I want to say something that I've been doing to work towards my goals this week, and something that I've been doing to have balance, to really practice that philosophy of successfully balanced. So to work towards my goals, I have finally decided to commit to expanding my posting to Substack and TikTok. I have never had TikTok on my phone in my entire life, and quite frankly, I'm quite apprehensive about it still, but I just know that it's really important to be on a lot of different platforms as a creator. So if you want to go follow me on TikTok, go do that. Otherwise, I've also just started a Substack, which will be linked below, and I'll pretty much be posting any of the articles that are related to what I'm talking about. So if you want to hear what I'm talking about further and you want to hear it in written form, then click the link below and you can read on there, and it would be amazing to have your support. But then on the other hand, something that I've been doing to have more balance is I literally just spent the weekend with my partner in Noosa, and it was the most incredible experience. We literally just it was so good. We went to the beach, we got acai, we got ice cream, we just chilled, we watched Bridgerton, we relaxed. I even had time to literally read a book in the bath. Like, I never get time to do that. And it was just so great. I literally clocked off, I logged out, and I didn't do any work for 4 days straight, which is very rare for me. So it was really good to have that little reset and recharge. And it was just really good to enjoy sort of the fruits of my labor and being able to afford a trip like that and have the time to do a trip like that. It was just really wholesome to be like, wow, I made this happen. You know what I'm saying? So that was really great experience. And I'm so grateful for that so much. But yeah, let's get into the episode. There are three changes that I have made, 3 intentions that I make before I work into any networking room now. And it has made the world of a difference for me. Obviously, I cannot guarantee it will work for you. This is literally just my personal experiences, my personal learnings. I'm not a pro at networking. I'm not a pro at social skills or anything like that. However, I used to be extremely introverted, and I had really bad social anxiety where if I walked up to a group of people and they didn't immediately recognize me and be like, oh my gosh, hi, I would be terrified. Like, it would genuinely crush my soul. And so to be someone that was so introverted to now being able to go into a room of people and have no problem with that and actually be quite confident and actually get quite a lot out of it, I really hope and I really think that these things can help you as well. So there are 3 things that I'm going to be chatting about throughout this episode, but these 3 things alone have honestly made the world of a difference to me, and there are a couple of extraordinary things that have come out of it, which I just want to read quickly. So first of all, I met my co-founder, and it was just such a beautiful experience to meet her because we were so on the same page. I also was approached by Derek Sivers, who, if you haven't heard of him, he sold his company for $22 million a while ago, is a very well-renowned author and podcast guest. He's been on over 250 podcasts, published a number of books, and is just an incredible guy. I was approached by him and he mentioned me in front of 800 people. And I've also had coffee chats with some of the coolest women in business that I have ever met. And I was asked to be a guest speaker at my university, and I landed a position on a judging panel of an entrepreneurship competition. And I was also nominated for a handful of quite respectable awards, including one of the ones which I won and became a finalist for. So that's not to brag. I'm just saying that these are some of the incredible things that can come out of networking if you learn to do it right and you can really master the art of not being so self-centered, but we'll get into that sec. So if you are in the business of networking in any scope of the imagination, I do encourage you to really consider these next few things which I'm going to say. The first one is I have no agenda. Now, I feel like this one may be a little bit contradictory because some people think, well, okay, if you're going to get something out of networking, you need to kind of know what you want to get out of it. And yes, that's true. I agree with that. You do need to have a bit of a goal in mind for, if you're meeting new people, where you want that to end up. What I'm saying is that when you're in a conversation with someone, your agenda should not be at the front of your mind. If anything, it should be buried at the back of your mind. And if the conversation so leads in that direction, then yeah, perhaps share that you have a position hiring or something like that. But if you're just chatting to someone, I don't think that it should be where you are leading the conversation is whatever your agenda is. Being young, I obviously do have the advantage in that I have very few things that I could sort of get out of someone in terms of I'm not really hiring right now. I'm not trying to get a collaboration per se. And so I have that freedom to be more open because I don't actually have an agenda. But the other person can feel, and I can always feel as, when someone's talking to me, I can feel if they're trying to lead me into something, and it just cuts off that connection and it makes it really uncomfortable and really unnatural. Whereas I find now when I don't have an agenda and I just follow them and I listen to them, which you'll find is a very important part of this episode, is that it is not about you, it is about them. When you put the emphasis on them and it's not about what you want, but it's literally about what they're interested in, what they want, what their goals are, what their struggles are, you will find that was going to open up so many opportunities, way more than it would be if you were to focus on what you wanted. So always remember that in any conversation, you are the least important person, or at least that is the case if you want to be remembered as important. People care about themselves above all else, and you are no exception to that. So when you can play into that and play into it with curiosity, which we'll talk about later, you will find that they will naturally be inclined to think of you as really cool because you've made them feel special. There's this book that I just finished reading called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, which was published a little while ago, but it is just as relevant today as when it was first written. But honestly, even if you don't read it, the moral of the story is literally shut up, listen to the person. It is not about you, it is about them. However, if we were to replace the word agenda with intention, I would strongly encourage you to consider adopting the following intentions every single time that you walk into a room to network. Number 1, to learn about other people's goals and struggles. Number 2, to selflessly offer some specialist knowledge to deserving people. And 3, to make someone else feel better about themselves after a conversation with you. Remember, it is not about you. When you remove your agenda, you basically remove any walls which are standing between you and the other person, and they essentially make it impossible for you to direct the conversation away from anything that doesn't interest the other person. Because remember, it is not about you, it is about them. And so if you have an agenda and you are directing them to that agenda, that is essentially cutting down an opportunity for them to talk about themselves, which, as you'll find throughout this whole episode, is the most important thing. You cannot steer someone into a goalpost of your own if, at least for the pocket of the conversation, you don't have one. Your value is determined by the amount of value that you can provide to other people. You become more valuable by making the other person feel valuable. When you leave the speaking room open to hear about what they want and what that person is really interested in, they feel more valuable. Then you can discover by them sharing what they find valuable, you can find ways that potentially you may be able to help them, which in doing that, you become infinitely more valuable. So remember, this isn't to say that you shouldn't have some kind of agenda or goal in mind when you walk into networking, because yes, if you're trying to hire someone, would expect that you're scouting out people to hire. But when you're having a conversation with someone, don't have that in the front of your mind, because that will put up a wall between you and the person and essentially take away any chance of figuring out if they would be a good fit anyway. It is not about you. Number 2, have no facade. I have spent way too long, both in networking and in high school and in the rest of my life, trying to act in a certain way that really just didn't feel like me. I mean, sometimes I'll pretend to be really polite or maybe really laid back or really tomboyish, maybe too feminine, and none of it ever felt like me. And especially in terms of networking, a lot of people will cover up their personality and hide it with business jargon. And if you're anything like me, business jargon is just not how we speak. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. And so when you're doing that, it's essentially just hiding your personality. And any shield that you put up to hide your personality is essentially a shield that you put up between you and the other person. Essentially, you cannot make meaningful connections if it's not really you that the other person is at least trying to connect with. So I know this is going to sound like a 2016 photo frame, but seriously, be yourself. That is the most magnetic thing you can do. And if you really feel the need to cover up who you are and act in a way that is untruthful or misaligned to who you really are, is that really going to bring in the kinds of relationships that you actually want to be working in? I remember quite unfortunately, painfully, clearly, a very interesting conversation that I had with someone at a conference. So I basically said, I'd love to know, what are your goals for this year? What are you interested in doing? What are you interested in doing with your business? And this was her response. We want to drive scalable cross-functional synergies through a holistic, stakeholder-centric transformation framework remains a core strategic priority. Success will be enabled by leveraging agile innovation, optimizing end-to-end value. Success will be enabled by leveraging agile innovation, optimizing end-to-end value streams, and operationalizing best-in-class capability enhancement across the ecosystem. Ultimately, the objective is to maximize sustainable value creation while future-proofing organizational intelligence through data-driven alignment and continuous optimization. I smiled and nodded, but I have absolutely no idea what was said. I also have no idea who she was, and nor why I should have any interest in reconnecting in future. If she had literally just said like, oh yeah, we want to improve our services, we want our clients to get better results, we want to be a better company, I mean, yeah, sure, you'd probably be a bit more specific than that, but then I would have felt more connection. I would have felt like I knew who she was. And if she'd done that, we could have connected. So for the love of everyone, please stop burying your personality in corporate jargon. Okay, I just want to interrupt real quick because I had the most beautiful experience the other day with a client. So she came up to me, we started working together a few weeks ago, and she said to me, she was like, I want to get maybe like 1 or 2 paid collabs for my UGC business. And I was like, girl, we got this, right? We got on a call about 3 weeks later. And I was like, hey, do you have any wins? Like, I'd love to hear how you're going. And she goes, yeah, I just hit 3 paid collabs and now she's at 4, and now she's literally telling me, she's like, I can't even, like, I have to turn them down now, like there's so many. And I was like, I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you. If you want insane results like that, Elevate is the program for you. I have linked it in the description. It is essentially the place for the ambitious women who want to go above and beyond and really want to create a life of freedom and abundance and success and all of those incredible things. Like, you want to start your own business, you want to post online, you want to have speaking opportunities, you want to just do such cool stuff. Elevate is the place for you. And don't just take my word for it. I got sent a video the other day from one of my clients, and I just want to play it to you because I think it was so sweet. Here it is.
Hi, my name is Ray Alexine, and I've been part of Elevate for a couple of months now. And let me just tell you, it has been such an amazing community to be a part of. Like, before joining, I was actually struggling to find other young women, like-minded young women who had the similar goals and struggles with me. And so I found that ever since I joined this community, not only did I get overwhelming support, but it's the fact that you get to connect with other young women as well who are going through similar struggles as you with their productivity, the fact that they're struggling to get work done, or you get inspired by the different goals that they're achieving, like running a business or doing content creation, working on a non-profit, or whether or not it's like working on a personal goal as well. It's just absolutely amazing to see all the overwhelming support from this community. And also the best part as well is that with Elevate, you also get access to resources and one-on-one coaching with Coach Arya herself. Arya has been such an amazing coach for me personally. I've been very lucky enough to get one-on-one coaching support from her. And already I've started implementing tips from her training ground course, her momentum method course, but also from the one-on-one coaching sessions that we've had together. I find that she's actually taken so much time and effort to actually craft solutions and strategies and tips around like my own specific pain points, and she does it so well that ever since I started implementing these small changes, like for example, I'm someone who gets stressed really easily from the number of things I have to do, especially for my business and my content. She has actually taught me a lot of like nervous regulation tips, and already I've seen such a massive difference in the time I would spend stressing out to down being all the way like calm and grounded and actually having a clearer headspace and actually getting work done. So if you're looking for space for women who are working on businesses or big dreams and big goals and need help in getting towards those goals much faster and in a much more smoother process, Elevate is a community for you. You'll get all this overwhelming support and loving community, but also you get such an amazing coach and mentor, Arya. I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for all the support you've given me, and I can't wait to continue working towards the goals that I've set for myself. Thank you so much. And last but not least, you've got to join this community. You're missing out. You got to join and Elevate right now. It is worth the investment. So hop in right now.
Yeah, we have the coolest girls in there, genuinely. Like, every single person in there, I'm like, wow, I am inspired by them. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, if you hop in that room, you will immediately feel like, wow, there is so much ahead of me. There is so much potential, and you will be ready to go and achieve it. And you're going to surprise yourself with just how much you can achieve. But I put the link in the description if you're interested in joining. I really hope to see you in there. Otherwise, I do still hope to provide you with so much value in this episode. So let's keep going. Number 3, be genuinely curious. Curiosity ironically became part of my personality. I kind of ended up with a habit, not by like obligation or wanting to appear curious, but I just ended up asking way too many questions. Well, maybe not too many questions, but I asked a lot of questions in the workshops that I attended. So let me give you an example. I attended a workshop on social media marketing, which is something that I know a fair bit about, having been on Instagram and grown almost 100k followers and, been on social media for a little while. But the speaker was speaking and I was writing notes and I was like, wait a second. And I had a gap and I was like, wait, I really want to know how these things connect. And so I raised my hand and there was probably a couple hundred people in the room. And I was like, hey, I'm really curious, how does this apply to personal brands? And how does this apply to founder-centric marketing? And the speaker was like, oh, that's a really good question. And she answered my question. It was really good. Like, I was like, wow, thank you so much. This is like paid level answer. But that wasn't all. See, I thought like, okay, cool, I got a good response, but that was not all that I got, right? I walked out of that workshop. I actually kind of ran out of the workshop because I was really hungry. I was like, I am so hungry. I need to get a croissant. I was sprinting to the cafe, right? And this guy stops me and he goes like, hey, and I goes like, oh man, I was like, please make this short. Like, I'm so hungry. Please don't stop me for long. But I said that in my head, obviously. And he comes up and he was like, oh, were you the girl who just asked the question? And immediately I'm like, one, he looks familiar. Two, he looks important. So I was like, okay, let's be polite because maybe he's important. And so I was like, yeah, that was my question. Yeah, like, what do you do? I was asking questions. I was curious about him now. And then he backfired and kept asking questions about me and my business and all these things. And I was like, oh, thank you so much. Like, I felt really flattered. And I went to get my croissant because I was still really hungry. But just before I turned around, I looked at his name tag and it was Derek Sivers, which I mentioned at the start. And I was like, wait a second. And I Googled him on LinkedIn and I was like, wait a second. Oh, okay. And so it made me realize that when you ask questions, you get noticed because not many people have the courage to ask questions, let alone in a group of hundreds of people. Because when you ask a question in front of other people, they get to see into a little bit of your brain and into the way that you think. And personally, connections based on mutual intelligence are by far my favorite. And then again, you have the one-on-one interactions because when we get asked questions, we get a hit of dopamine. And when you ask other people questions, you get hit with some of the most profound wisdom that you could ever stumble across. So here are 3 of my favorite questions to ask. Number 1, what is your biggest goal for this year? Number 2, what do you wish you had more time for? And number 3, what is really frustrating you at the moment? That last one gets people so fired up and it's just really great for conversation. I know it seems counterintuitive, but you gain almost nothing from telling the other person about yourself. Other than, of course, blowing up your ego and making yourself feel really good about yourself, but that doesn't get you anywhere. You gain infinitely more when you are curious and you genuinely want to learn about and from someone else. There is obviously the added benefit that the other person then feels important because you've made them feel important by asking them questions. If you need help with how to actually talk to people, which is something that is a skill that I am still learning but have definitely come a long way, there's a book called How to Talk to Anyone by Lil Lowndes, which I would strongly recommend. My parents gave it to me for Christmas in, I think 2023, maybe 2024, and it was such a life changer. Definitely would go recommend reading that. Otherwise, I have a Substack now, which I've linked in the description. And if you are interested in really going above and beyond and you want to unlock the opportunities, you want to grow the followers, you want to do all these incredible things in your life and really just build a life that you are so proud to live, Elevate is the place for you. I am genuinely so damn proud of it, and all of the girls in there I am so proud of. They are literally, it's my happy place when I'm in there, and I think all the girls can agree as well. So if you're interested in investing the time, money and effort into your growth, the link is in the description and I would love to see you in there. So let me know in the comments if you found this episode helpful and if you have any requests for future episodes. But just remember, next time you walk into a networking room, it is not about you, it is about them. I hope you have the most amazing week and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.